Hey there, leaders. Let's get right to it. You know that communication is pretty much everything when you're managing a team. But today, we're going to zero in on one skill that is so powerful, but honestly, it's often the most overlooked, and that's listening. We've got a few tips that can literally change the game for you.
So, let's start with a number that should make you sit up and pay attention. $62.4 million. A major study found that's the average annual cost of misunderstanding for a large company. Just think about that. That's a jaw-dropping amount of money just vanishing because of errors, missed deadlines, and things just not getting done right.
So where in the world does a number that big come from? You might think it's some huge, complex system failure, but it's not. The root cause is actually pretty simple. Day in and day out, we're just not really listening to each other. We hear the words, sure, but we're missing the message. And that right there makes listening way more than a soft skill. It makes it an absolute business necessity.
Okay, so how do we start to fix this? Well, it all begins with a really simple but incredibly powerful change in your mindset. So tip number 1 is all about making this mental shift before a conversation even begins.
Check this out. This really breaks it down. Most of us, and hey, let's be honest, we spend most of our time on the left side of the screen, listening to reply. While someone else is talking, our brain is just going a mile a minute, right? We're already cooking up our response, our counter-argument, or our genius idea. The goal, the real shift, is to get to the right side, listening to understand. That means you're totally present, you put your own agenda on the shelf for a minute, and you just focus on what the other person is actually trying to say. It's about being curious, not being in control. So once you've got that mindset shift, we can build on it with our second tip. And this is all about reframing your questions. Because, the way you ask something can either slam a door shut or it can open it right up.
We all do this. We ask these kinds of questions all the time. Are you overwhelmed? Is everything on track? Do you need any help? Now, the problem here is that these are closed questions. They're basically asking for a yes or a no. And most of the time, people are going to default to no because they don't want to seem like they can't handle it. You get a piece of data, yeah, but you get zero insight. But now look at this. Compare the last question to this one. How has this project been feeling for you? See the difference? It's an open-ended question. You're creating space for a real answer. You're not just asking for a status check, you're inviting them to share their actual perspective. And that's when you hear about the real roadblocks, the frustrations, and maybe even some brilliant ideas you would have totally missed otherwise.
And here is the absolute crux of it all. This is not just about being more efficient or avoiding a few mistakes. This is about trust. Because when your team members feel like they aren't actually being heard, you know what happens? They just stop talking. They stop bringing you the real problems, they stop sharing their ideas, and that feeling of psychological safety just evaporates. Seriously, nothing builds trust faster than feeling understood, and almost nothing destroys it faster than feeling ignored.
All right, I don't want this to just be a bunch of ideas. Let's make it super practical. I want to leave you with a simple one-week challenge you can start, today.
First things first, let's put a name to that default mode we talked about earlier. It's called level I listening. This is when you hear the words coming at you, but your focus is all internal. It's on your own thoughts, your own judgments, and what you're going to say the absolute second they take a breath. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so.
So here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, just notice. That's it. In your meetings, in your one-on-ones, just notice how often you're stuck in level 1. Then, every once in a while, consciously try to shift your focus. Just try to understand. What new things do you start to hear when that becomes your only goal?
Now, of course, what we talked about today, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Most of us are living in level 1. But what if I told you there are 2 more levels of listening you could unlock? Level 2 and level 3 can completely transform how you lead. So if you're ready to really master this skill, you can find the full guide and our deep dive explainer over at newlevelwork.com/podcast. Think about it. What might you hear if you really started to listen?